Have you ever looked at someone with a big six-figure salary and thought, how could they possibly feel broke? It just doesn't add up, right? A high income should mean you're set, you've got financial peace of mind. But for a whole lot of people, that's just not how it feels. So let's dive into this really weird modern puzzle of money and happiness. You know, this quote from the Wall Street Journal just nails the feeling. It's like you're in a gilded cage, a really, really nice hamster wheel. You're running faster and faster, you're making more money than you ever have before, but you don't feel like you're actually getting anywhere. And it's this weird frustration that's so hard to talk about without sounding, ungrateful. So who exactly are we talking about here? Well, meet the Henrys. It's an acronym, and it stands for High Earner, Not Rich Yet. We're talking about people in professional jobs, doctors, lawyers, people in tech, pulling in a really healthy income. But the most important part of that name is not rich yet, because even with those big paychecks, their net worth, their actual wealth, just hasn't caught up. And that's really the heart of the problem, isn't it? They've been called the working rich, which is such a great term, because their whole lifestyle depends on that next paycheck. If the income stops, the whole thing could just fall apart. There's this massive gap between how their life looks on the outside and what their bank account actually says on the inside. So, what's causing this squeeze? Let's take a look at the numbers. Okay, first, we've got to talk about the external pressures. The world has gotten way more expensive, but maybe not in the ways you'd think. The price tag on what we even consider a good life has just inflated like crazy. And this isn't some tiny little group we're talking about. Almost 15% of all households in the US are in this high-earning bracket. That's a huge number of people who, on paper, should be feeling totally secure, but instead they're reporting that they feel stretched thin. All right, check this out, because this is where it gets really interesting. The biggest expense for most of us, right? Housing. Back in 2009, a median home was about $220 grand. Now, if that price had just kept up with normal inflation, it'd be around $322,000 today. But it's not. The actual price is over $412,000. That's an extra $90,000 that has to come from somewhere. And believe me, it is not just houses. The cost of a new car has completely outpaced inflation. Getting a babysitter for a night out, that's about 20% more expensive than it should be. And daycare, wow, for a lot of these families, that's a $30,000 or $40,000 bill every single year. So you have all these external costs just piling up. And on top of that, you've got these other sneaky drains on your money. Lifestyle creep is a huge one. You get a raise, so you start spending a little more, and it just keeps going. Then there are insane education costs, whether it's paying off their own student loans, which average $80,000, or paying for private school for their kids. And finally, you've got this vanishing middle. It's getting so hard to find good mid-range stuff because everything is either super cheap or ultra luxury. And this isn't just theory. This quote from a law partner in LA just says it all. He thought that by the time he was a partner at 40, he'd own a home, be in a country club, the whole deal. But instead, he's renting and playing golf on public courses. Even with this amazing career, the goalposts have moved so far that he just feels like he's treading water. Okay, so the financial pressures are obviously very, very real. But what if the numbers, the rising costs, all the spreadsheets, what if that's only half the story? What if the real reason high earners feel broke isn't just in their bank accounts, but inside their own heads? And that's the big question, isn't it? I mean, if this was just a money problem, then getting a promotion or a big bonus would fix it. But it so often doesn't. And that suggests that there's something else going on here, something happening inside our own minds. And that something else actually has a name. It's called the hedonic treadmill. You might also hear it called hedonic adaptation. It's a psychological theory that is absolutely key to understanding why Henrys don't feel rich. The whole idea is that no matter what happens to us, good or bad, we have this powerful tendency to just go right back to our original level of happiness. Think of it like a thermostat for your well-being. We all have this happiness set point, and that's our baseline. A big win at work might crank up the heat for a bit, make you feel amazing, but pretty soon that thermostat just clicks on and brings you right back down to your default temperature. And the same thing happens with bad events too. Now, this might sound like a cool theory, right? But is there any actual proof? Well, let's look at the landmark study that first put this incredible idea to the test. And trust me, the results are pretty staggering. So way back in 1978, a group of researchers decided to study two groups of people who had been through absolutely life-changing events, but on opposite ends of the spectrum.
They looked at people who had won the lottery and people who had been paralyzed in accidents. They wanted to see what the long-term effect was on their happiness. The results were, honestly, they were mind-blowing. As you'd expect, the lottery winners got this huge initial spike in happiness. The accident victims, a huge drop. But here's the crazy part. In the long run, both groups returned to a happiness level that was basically identical to a control group that hadn't experienced either event. Think about that. Even the most extreme life changes didn't permanently change how happy they were. So how does a psychology study from the 70s about lottery winners connect back to a high-earning lawyer in today's world who feels like he's treading water? Well, this is where it all clicks into place. This is the hedonic treadmill in action, step by step. So, step 1, you get that big promotion. Step 2, you feel amazing. You're on top of the world. But then, step 3, your expectations adapt. That new salary just becomes your baseline. The things that used to feel like luxuries, a nicer car, a bigger house, now they feel like necessities. Step 4, your happiness, well, it just drifts right back to where it started. And finally, step 5, this new, more expensive lifestyle is just your new normal. You're earning more, but you don't feel any happier or any richer.
And this is the big idea, the ultimate takeaway of our whole explainer. That feeling of being on a financial hamster wheel, running and running but getting nowhere, it's being powered by the psychological hedonic treadmill. The external money problems are real, for sure, but it's our internal adaptation that keeps us from ever feeling like we've made it. So, after looking at the soaring costs on one side and the psychology of happiness on the other, what's the big lesson here? What does this all mean for the Henrys, and really for any of us who are chasing success? It all boils down to this one simple but really powerful truth. Our desires are not a fixed target. They're a moving target. As our income goes up, our definition of what we need to be happy goes right up along with it. And the result is a chase that just has no finish line, which means no permanent gain in how good we feel. And that leaves us with one last pretty big question to think about for the Henrys and for all of us. If more money and more stuff doesn't actually lead to a lasting feeling of security or happiness because of this hedonic treadmill, then what are we actually chasing? And is it possible we've been chasing the wrong thing all along?